Hi everyone, I decided to record a video response to this topic of the tongue position in relation to singing. What is my tongue supposed to be doing while I'm singing, especially the tip of the tongue? So the common advice for the tip of the tongue is to keep it by your bottom teeth as you're singing at all times to prevent your tongue from falling back in your throat and your tone getting swallowed. My response to that is that it just simply depends. The tip of the tongue will not always be by your bottom teeth. And there are four variables which will affect that. Number one, the size of your jaw in relation to your tongue. Number two, the vowel. Number three, the pitch range. And number four, the sound color. And I will be covering each of those in this video. So first of all, you have the size of your jaw in relation to the size of your mouth. In general, if you have a big mouth, your tongue, the tip of the tongue, will tend to float more depending on what you're doing, but there will be a greater tendency towards that. So for instance, in my mouth, I have a big mouth, and if I open it all the way, like that, when I'm doing certain vowels and in certain ranges, the tip of the tongue will not be by my bottom teeth. And in order to hold it by the bottom teeth, I'd have to create tension under here. Whereas if I just allow my tongue to go wherever it needs to, it alleviates that tension. In general, if you have a smaller mouth, you won't see the tongue floating as much unless you also have a small tongue to go along with a small mouth. So that's the literal physical dimension that can affect what your tongue is doing when you're singing. Number two, which is the vowel. The vowel which you are singing also affects your tongue position. So for instance, as a general rule, with high front vowels, the tongue will tend not to be by the bottom teeth. So vowels like E, I, and A, it will not tend to be always there. With low vowels, the tip of the tongue will tend to be closer to the bottom teeth. So vowels like ah, vowels like ah, they will tend to be produced in that way. The reason for this is because the vowel is primarily produced with the middle portion of the tongue. With the tip of the tongue is not really that important. The middle portion back here, that's what's most important, because it not only helps to shape the vowel, but it also helps to shape the back of the throat to get certain types of resonances. So a way that you can go about experiencing this is to just simply make a siren on an NG sound, like and that is produced primarily with the middle portion of the tongue. And if you paid attention while I did this, the tip of the tongue was not near my bottom teeth. I will do it again. I can't even produce an NG sound with the tip of my tongue by my bottom teeth. However, the tip of the tongue should not affect what your resonance does, in the sense of always holding it there. Let it be free to float wherever. So if you go from that into a vowel sound, let's say for instance an A, and me in particular for my A vowel, as I go higher, the tip of the tongue floats more. So when I just did that initially, the tip of the tongue was actually close to down in this area here, and then it moves as I go higher with it. So that is one exercise that you can do to experience this. I must say, if you're doing that NG sound, please make sure that your mouth is open. Don't do an NG sound with your mouth half open like this, because then you're going to get tense under here. Open your mouth. So all of this under here can stay relaxed. So getting to the third idea here. which is pitch range. The pitch range that you are in will also affect what's going on with the tongue. Why? In general, the mouth has to open more as you're going higher. Especially if you have a big mouth, the tip of the tongue will tend to float more. So, for instance, let's try this. If I go, if you notice when I did that, the tip of my tongue, the tongue stays high in the mouth. The tip of the tongue is just floating in the mouth when I do that. But that's an example. If I try to keep it here, it'll constrict here more. So, it constricts more right up under here. If you allow the mouth to open freely and let the tongue position itself wherever it needs to, it will make all of the resonance shifts that are necessary. So that is how pitch range affects the tongue position. This will be especially prominent on front vowels. So vowels like E, I, A. You will also see it on A to an extent and A, but especially E, I, and A. The last aspect that we will cover is sound color. So, in general, if you're going for a more twangy sound color, the tongue will float in the mouth. So something like a just even to make that kind of sound, the tip of the tongue cannot be by the bottom teeth, because the tongue has to position itself in a certain way to shape the back of the throat to make that sound, to get the twang to come in. So, again, you can do it on like as in the sound, word ant, or E. Even on E, it will come out very similarly. E with the tip of the tongue by the bottom teeth. E. It's a much different sound, a more shallow sound, and it tends to get more caught under here. The other way that sound color affects the tongue position is how you're opening your mouth, in terms of whether you're opening horizontally, like a smile, like this, or vertically, where you keep the corners of the lips relaxed, so more like this. They will each affect the sound differently. So for instance, with the A that I did earlier in the example of the A, that's opening more like a smile. In general, when you open more broadly, the tongue will tend to be more flat in the mouth, unless you're doing a high vowel like the A, like I just did. But if I do it on an A, you will see the tongue will tend to sit down more. So, ah, or even ah. Ah, the tongue, even though the tip of the tongue is not always by the bottom teeth, it tends to go more in that direction. Now, if I go for a more vertical mouth opening, let's say on the ah, for example, the tongue will have a tendency to float more to shape the resonance correctly. So, ah. So the vowel is more ah instead of ah. So, those are the 4 things that we covered. 1, the jaw size in relation to the mouth or tongue size. 2, the vowel itself. 3, the pitch range that you're singing in. And 4, the sound color that you're going for. All of these will affect where your tongue is in your mouth when you're singing. So the sum total of all of this that you as a singer need to focus on is just number 1, make sure your throat stays supple, that you're not gripping in your throat, and that under here, under your chin, is staying relaxed. These muscles under here should stay supple at all times. And just think of trying to pronounce your vowel as clearly as you can. Let your tongue position itself wherever it needs to in order for that to occur. And that's what you will take away from this. For those of you that have reached this via YouTube, if you click on the link in the description for the article that goes along with this, you will find links to videos of other singers that display this exact same tongue positioning as they are singing. So, if you have any questions, feel free to just write them in the comments section and I will respond to them as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.